Did you know diesel fuel is named after a man who dissolved into the North Sea without a single witness? Night time. September 29, 1913. The steamer Dresden cuts through the black waves of the English Channel. On this ship, there is one person who has already changed the world. A man whose name is about to become the name of a fuel, a fleet of ships, an army of trucks, and an entire era of industry. By morning, his bed will be untouched. On the table, his pocket watch, left behind, waiting. On deck, his coat and hat, folded with almost unsettling care. And the man himself will be gone, so cleanly it's as if the sea opened the door no one could see, and took him without a sound, without a struggle. His name was Rudolf Diesel. And this isn't just the story of an engine. This is the story of a man who understood, better than almost anyone alive, exactly how dangerous real progress can be. Rudolf Diesel was born in 1858 in Paris, to German immigrant parents. From the start, he lived caught between two worlds, French and German, comfort and poverty. When the Franco-Prussian War broke out in 1870, his family fled the city in a panic. 11-year-old Rudolf was sent off alone to relatives in Augsburg, Germany, a boy with no say in where his life was headed. It was there, standing in the engine room of a local factory, that he saw a steam engine running for the first time. To the other boys watching, it was loud and powerful, a marvel. To Rudolf, it was something else entirely, an outrage. The machine devoured tons of coal and handed back almost nothing in return. Nearly all of that energy just bled away, into smoke, into steam, into wasted heat drifting up into the sky. The kid stood there and thought, why burn so much when you could burn so little? That single question would consume the rest of his life. Diesel grew into a stubborn, obsessively precise engineer. He spent years working on refrigeration systems, tracking every wasted calorie and every ounce of fuel like it was a personal insult. And one day, it clicked. What if fuel didn't need a spark at all? What if you compressed air hard enough that it ignited the fuel all by itself? In 1892, he filed the patent. His colleagues tapped their temples like he'd lost his mind. It's impossible, they told him. The fuel will just detonate before it's supposed to. He didn't care. He was obsessed. The first tests ended in outright disaster. His engine tore itself apart, scattering pieces across the lab. There were explosions, overheating, breakdowns, investors in tears, and competitors laughing behind his back. But in 1897, after round of redesigns, the engine finally ran. And the efficiency numbers were staggering, 2 to 3 times better than the best steam engines on Earth. This wasn't just a new motor. This was a death sentence for an entire era built on coal and steam. Diesel had just pulled off a technological coup. And in the same breath, he'd made himself some very serious enemies. His engine threatened several empires at once, coal barons, old guard shipping companies, and the young, ambitious oil industry that was just starting to find its footing. Because here's the math that mattered to them. The more efficient an engine gets, the less fuel it burns. And less fuel burned means less profit for the people selling it. Fame arrived fast. Diesel was invited to world expositions. His engines were installed on ships and factory floors across Europe. But the man who could calculate combustion pressure down to the decimal point was catastrophically bad with his own money. He poured his fortune into risky ventures, fell out with business partners, and watched fortune after fortune slip through his fingers. By the early 1910s, despite a name known around the world, Rudolf Diesel was standing at the edge of financial ruin. He was balanced on a knife's edge. On one side, the genius who would rewrite industrial history. On the other, a man worn down by debt, lawsuits, and disappointment. It was in exactly this state that he boarded the Dresden, hoping a meeting in England could turn everything around. September 29, 1913. Dinner in the ship's dining salon. Witnesses would later recall that Diesel was in good spirits, calm, even cracking jokes, talking about plans for the future. Nothing about him looked like a man about to disappear forever. Around 10 o'clock, he stood up from the table, wished everyone good night, and walked to his cabin. He asked the steward to wake him at 6 the next morning. Then he closed the door. No one ever saw him alive again. By morning, the cabin looked like its owner had simply stepped out for a minute. The bed hadn't been slept in. Out on deck, his coat and hat were found neatly folded. If he'd chosen to end his life, why prepare everything so carefully? If it was an accident, why does every detail look this unsettlingly tidy? 10 days later, a body was pulled from the sea. Its condition made a positive identification impossible, but the personal effects and clothing pointed to Diesel. So they claimed. The official investigation was thin at best. The case was closed fast. Ever since, there have been 3 main theories. The first, suicide. Debt, pressure, disillusionment. It's the convenient explanation, but a weak one. Every witness from that last dinner agreed on one thing: Diesel was upbeat, energized, full of plans. The second, an accident. He stepped out on deck at night, slipped, and went overboard. Plausible enough, but it still doesn't explain the eerily perfect order of that cabin or the belongings left behind with such care. The third, and the most unsettling, murder. It was 1913. Less than a year stood between the world and the First World War. Diesel was in talks with British military officials and industrialists. His engine had the power to shift the balance of naval power overnight. German circles, British circles, oil interests, there was no shortage of people with a motive to remove a man who knew too much and was about to change too much. There's no hard proof. But there's no simple explanation either. Rudolf Diesel disappeared at the exact moment his invention was just beginning to reshape the world. He never lived to see his engines installed on millions of ships, trucks, locomotives, and power plants. He never saw his idea become the backbone of modern civilization. We will probably never know for certain what happened that September night aboard the Dresden. But we know this much for sure: Rudolf Diesel's name outlived his debts, outlived his fears. Sometimes the man disappears. And the machine he built keeps running, relentlessly pushing civilization forward. More than a century after Rudolf Diesel's disappearance, his engine is still very much alive. New types of engines have emerged: rotary, gas turbine, jet, electric, hybrid. But none of them have made the diesel obsolete. In 2025, the global diesel engine market was valued at $243.8 billion. By 2034, that number is expected to reach $318.7 billion. Modern diesel engines are 90% cleaner than those produced before the year 2000. Diesel engines remain the backbone of global shipping, rail transport, construction, mining, and agriculture. And diesel engines are now being designed to run on alternative fuels, methanol, hydrogen, even vegetable oil. The core principle Diesel discovered, compression ignition, has proven so robust that it adapts to whatever fuel the future brings. Some diesel engines are now built to last for 100,000 to 600,000 kilometers without major repairs. Rudolf Diesel's invention didn't just change the world, it became the world's workhorse, and it refuses to retire. From unsolved mysteries to world-changing inventions, there's always something new to discover right here.